Hello, Internet, so nice to see you. The other day, a student of mine asked me a question. And I think this is one of the most important questions you can ask, actually. And so I need to do a video on that because I need to comment on that. The question was, if I am practicing my guitar, or in general, any instrument, but if I'm practicing my guitar and I make a mistake, should I stop, fix the mistake, or should I just keep going? Think about it for a moment. Before you hear my answer, think about it for a moment. If you are practicing your guitar and you make a mistake, should you stop, replay the exercise and make sure it's correct? Or you should just keep going? And make sure that your answer is your answer and not what you've heard around on YouTube. Okay? Really think about it for a moment. It's important. See, I love questions like that. Because this question is a question that most people think it has an obvious answer, right? But it doesn't. The answer is absolutely not obvious, as you're going to see in a moment, okay? It takes courage to ask this question because you have to admit it that you don't know the answer. Do you know the answer? It's perfectly okay to admit it that you don't know the answer, okay? And see, that's the thing. I've noticed one thing is that this question is fairly obvious to good players, to professional players. Maybe if you ask them, they're not going to give you immediately the answer because when great players talk about their playing, that's often not actually thinking about their playing. They're thinking at what they should tell you so that you don't get into trouble, okay? Or what they should tell you so that you understand. But in their practice, professional players do this. Okay? So, and in this question has two levels of an answer. So, let's see the first level. The first level is this. You know what? Let's put everything on the board so you see exactly what's going on. If you make a mistake, should you? Ooh, that's after the board. Should you stop and fix? Or just keep going? The first level is this. If you do only stop and fix, you will fix your technique. But the moment you go and play live and you make a mistake, you will have an ingrained habit of stopping. And that would be really hard to overcome when you're playing live or even playing in studio. Okay? And you've seen those people. They make a mistake and they freeze. Okay? So if you do stop and fix, you have this problem. On the other hand, if you just keep going, what's going to happen is that you are practicing something, you make a mistake on a specific point of the exercise, you keep going, and then the next time you keep going, the next time you keep going, and you never fix that mistake. So the first level of the answer is, you should do both. You should do both, okay? Does it feel like a trick answer? It's not. You should do both because neither of those things by themselves are enough to give you the result you want. Because the result you want is correct technique and fluidity when you're playing live or in studio. These will give you correct techniques. This will give you fluidity, keep going, but it doesn't give you correct technique. This gives you correct technique because you fix it, but it doesn't give you fluidity. Which means you need to do both. That's the first level of an answer. Okay. But is there more? Oh boy, yes, there is, because that's where the second level of the answer arrives, which again, it's fairly obvious to most professional, most great player, even if most of them actually, will not come up with the answer themselves, but when they hear it, okay, they're like, yes, definitely, it's that. Which is this. It's the way you practice depends on what you are practicing for. You don't practice in abstract. You don't sit down with your guitar and say, ooh, I want to practice this exercise. You don't do that. You don't do that. You're practicing for something. Okay? The same exercise is practiced in a completely different way, depending if you are practicing these to eliminate a bad habit in your technique, or strengthening the good habit in your technique, or you're learning this as part of a solo because you want to play it in studio or live, or many other situations. Okay? And so you need to know what you're doing and why you're doing it so that you can practice it correctly. Okay? That is absolutely important. Okay? So here's how it goes. If you are practicing, if you are learning an exercise, okay, so if maybe it's the first time you play the whole thing, or you don't have the exercise down yet, or because you're still trying to memorize, etc. If you're working on accuracy, or if you're working on relaxation, for instance, okay, or all those kind of things. So if you're working on your technique, you want to stop and fix. Okay? But if you are practicing for a live situation or for a playing situation, if you are accelerating, for instance, meaning you're pushing for speed, okay, which there are ways and other ways, but this is a very high-level review. The details are slightly more complicated than that, but if you are accelerating, pushing for speed, or if you are stress testing your technique, you want to see how fast you are so that you can see at what speed you have to practice and all this kind of thing, you want to keep going. Okay? You have heard on YouTube or on any other article that you read online about guitar that you are supposed to learn everything slowly and relaxed all the time, and then gradually accelerate until you get to the speed you want. That's not true. People who give you this advice unqualified, without telling you when it works and when it doesn't, they don't know how to explain that. I'm sorry about that. That's the way it is. Because it's like saying you always want to stop and fix the technique. Whenever you make a mistake, stop and fix it. It's good in some specific situation. It's not good for other situation. And definitely it's not good if you are practicing to play something live. Because guess what? When you're playing something live, if you make a mistake, you need to keep going, okay? Again, the same is true for pushing for speed. Yes, sometime you want to play everything slowly and relax and then gradually increase the speed. And on the other hand, occasionally, you do want to play something much faster than you can actually play it, just to push up the physical speed of your fingers, okay? Now, if you want to have all the details about that, I would recommend you guys check out my friend Mike Filipov's website. His website is called practiceguitarnow.com. Okay, Mike explains this stuff with a wonderful abundance of details. Okay, he has a YouTube channel too. I'm going to link it in the description. You want to see all his videos, because Mike will tell you exactly when one thing is right, when the other is not right. And Mike has no problem, okay, giving you the contrarian vision to whatever else is on YouTube, because it doesn't care about being contrarian. It cares about giving you the right thing, okay? But that's the idea. It's not either or. It's both practices are correct as long as you know why you're doing them. And again, this is true of a number of other things in music. It's true it's true in theory. It's true when you learn theory. It's true when you compose something. It's like, do I compose by listening to my heart and the emotion, or use theory? Both. Okay? You get an inspiration and you use theory to take the result of that inspiration better. And then you use theory to create another inspiration, because you can't do that. There is no such dichotomy. When people tell you, do I compose by theory? Do I compose from my heart? There is no difference. It's just, It's like asking, do you prefer to walk with your right leg or with your left leg? Come on, guys. Two things you do, okay? There's not one thing or the other, and that's it. So you have those two things you can do, and they are useful in different moments. And typically one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, okay? So let's not limit ourselves. Make sense? So that's the answer to that question. This is Tommaso Ziglia on mysteryforguitar.com. And until next time, enjoy.